So if you're listening to me right now and you're here on a regular basis, you can tell I'm struggling a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of voice. And actually, I'm surprised a little bit, man of faith and everything. Yeah, sometimes you wouldn't know it, huh? But what I just said, but I'm a little surprised I'm even able to talk this service. I was going to begin a new series of teachings today that we're going to be teaching at both campuses. John and I were both so excited about it, and kind of cool teaching them the same thing at both campuses. And we are going to be teaching the same thing. They'll just be ahead of us a week, unless John ended up not starting today, which I know John, he did. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he started. And the series is going to be titled, I Need to Change. I need to change. Everybody say, I need to change. Now, some of you are sitting there and you're thinking, I'm so glad my husband is here because he needs to change. I didn't say he needs to change. I said, I need to change. Everybody say, I need to change. How many know if you'll work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, you'll probably be a whole lot better off than you try to work out somebody else's. Isn't that right? Now, thank God your spouse is here and we all need to change. And I think it's probably going to be one of the most important series that we do for the year and get us started off with making the changes in our life that we need to make in order for God to make entrance into our life in all the areas where he wants to and do the things that he desires to do. Sometimes we're just a change away from a miracle in our life and from a breakthrough in our life. So we'll be talking about that next week. But I'm going to keep it really short this morning. And so some of you are thinking, well, praise God, it's going to be short today. And not everybody feels that way. Just so you know, there are some people that like for me to go longer, right? Right. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands because I wouldn't want to put those people on the spot. Actually, I wouldn't want to be embarrassed. But anyway, there's probably more that like, there used to be a saying among preachers, blessed are the short-winded, for they shall be asked to come back. And they shall be asked to return. So I'm going to keep it kind of short. Short doesn't mean that it's not powerful. In fact, I think this is very powerful. In fact, I had a hard time not starting off the year talking to you about this because I always talk to you about this the first of the year. And I'm going to move it to the month of February, probably, maybe March, but probably February. Talk to you about it then, which is probably better because I noticed today that the crowd, everybody's not back yet. And maybe that's from, being out of town, whatever. Maybe it's because of this, everything's going on with COVID again. Cursed be that COVID, right? But anyway, so maybe it'd be better. But anyway, I want to talk to you for just a few moments about vision. Everybody say vision. So it says, I knew it. I knew that's what we're going to talk about. Well, you're right. Vision is a really big thing to me. It's a really important thing to me. And I was raised in a church where they never talked about vision. If they did, it was, old men will dream dreams, young men will see visions. And I think I got that right. And it's like, these supernatural visions people would have and see things. That does happen. I'm not going to deny that. But that's not the only kind of vision that the Bible refers to. In fact, Proverbs 29:18 talks about vision, and it's important in our life. And it says that where there is no vision, the people perish. The word perish there means that, they waste away. They fail to realize, fail to be fruitful. In fact, if you just take that verse and flip it and say where there is vision, the people flourish. I kind of like it that way, but maybe better. Where there's vision, people flourish. You got to have vision if you're going to flourish. When you don't have vision, you'll end up perishing. You end up your life just wasting away. Your life just passing you by. Anybody ever felt that way? Nothing's really getting any better. Nothing's really changing in my life. And you think it's God, or you think it's the enemy, or you think it's life, and it's not. The reason your life is going like that is because you have no vision. And vision is all about the future. Vision is all about what you see. Think about it. You go to the eye doctor to get your vision corrected when you get a little older. Maybe you can't see up real close. You have to. Jada was out in a foyer one time walking down the hallway, and she saw me sitting over in the coffee shop. She says, Papa, why you got that mean look on your face? I said, well, baby, what mean look do I have on my face? She said, you're going like this. Well, the reason I was going like that is because I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't read what I was reading, And so you get glasses to correct your vision. You want to have 20/20 vision. Amen? You want to have 20/20 vision. Some of you got nearsighted or farsighted, where you can only see close up? Some of you, that's what you got. That's all you can see is just what's close up. You just what's going on in your world right now, and that's all you see. You can't see into the future, and you can't see any further down the road. And it's important that you do. It's important that you're able to see what God's got for you moving forward. And He's always got good things. He's always got better things for you in your life. And so when you have a vision, you got something that you're moving towards. When you have a vision, you've got something that you're taking steps in your life to realize. Anybody in here like me, you're a list person? You always got a list going on? My list is never done. My list always is being added to, and as I will, get things done, I cross them out. I love to cross them out because it means I've accomplished something, right? I've gotten something done. Well, vision enables me to do that. It enables me to make this list of things that I need to do in order to get where I want to be in some area of my life. And it's important that we have a vision for our church. We have a vision for you, for sure. Our vision for you is that you know God, you find freedom, you discover your purpose, so you can make a difference. And so that's why we have some of the things in place, Fresh Start and Explore and all that, getting you on the team, getting you involved on the team. All that's a part of helping you, life groups. That's all a part of helping you know God, find freedom, discover your purpose so you can make a difference. And just moving you forward in your walk with God. But you need to have vision for every area of your life. And see, I didn't know that for years. I didn't realize how important vision was for years in my walk with God. And so I kept believing God for more and kept believing God for better, but I didn't have any definition of what more and better was. I just, more and better, because that's what everybody talked about. God wants to do more, God wants to do greater. And I thought, great, do it, God. And then I realized once I got a vision for something and I started, taking these action steps to move towards it, was amazing how I started realizing more and greater in every area of my life. So I have vision for this church for sure, but I have vision, like, for example, my marriage. And you've heard me talk about how absolutely horrible our marriage was. It wasn't horrible for a little while. It was horrible for a long time. My wife's hard to change. It's more me. I was terrible. I was abusive in so many ways. And we just had a terrible marriage. And the only reason we stayed together is because we pastored this church at the time. And so we realized that, to get a divorce meant that it was going to impact our immediate family. It was also going to impact our church family in negative ways. And so we stayed together. That's what kept us together during that time. Thank God it kept us together. And it gave God opportunity, time to speak to us so that we could start making changes in our marriage, turn around. And by the way, God really dealt with me more about it than He did my wife. And the reason is because, guys, you're the head of the house. A lot of this ought to start with you. You ought to be the leader in your family, not the follower. And you ought to be getting vision for things being better in your life and better in your marriage and better in your finances, and then sharing that with your wife and her agreeing with you, or maybe adjusting it some because she's your partner, your heirs together in the grace of life. You're not smarter than she is. In fact, she might be smarter than you. But you're the head of the house, and so you're responsible. You get a vision, you go to her, okay, this is good, but I really think we ought to do this too. I believe God here, whatever, include this. And you come down, you get this vision, and you agree upon it. Because that way you can move forward together in the vision. That's called writing the vision down, making it plain so he who reads it may run with it. Because you need the people that are going to be a part of it being realized running together with you on it. So God started dealing with me about having a vision for my marriage. I didn't have one. And my vision was, I'm going to be miserable the rest of my life. I'm just going to have to suck it up. This is just, this is what is. And I got to endure it. That's my cross to bear, I guess. I don't know. I thought all kinds of stupid things. But anyway. And so God started giving me a vision for it. And my list of to do, here was some things that were on my list to do. None of them were big. None of them were, I shouldn't say big. None of them were hard. No, that's not even the right word. None of them were things you had to be really smart to do or gifted or talented to do. That's a good way to say it. None of them. He said, okay, first of all, I want you to be kind. Be kind. What? Just be kind? That was your vision of that was the step you took in turning your marriage around? Yeah, it's a good place to start. Because we weren't kind to each other anymore. And I was the most unkind. I was a whole lot more unkind. My wife, kindness just oozes from her. Now, it didn't always ooze from her towards me, but it oozes towards all you. I know that. Now, it really oozes towards me too. But I treated her bad, and so it wasn't always oozing towards me. And kindness is a little harder to get out of me. And, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, kindness, meekness, temperance, and faith. And so that was an area where I had to work. And God had to kind of squeeze me a little bit to get the kindness out of me. And just through the pressures and through the troubles of life, God did a work on me where I actually became much more kind. My wife will tell you I am crazy more kinder, that's a double whatever. I'm crazy kinder to her than I have ever been. And I hope I'm getting more and more kind all the time. Gentle, I wasn't gentle with her at all. Just suck it up, whatever. Do this, whatever. I wasn't gentle with her at all. I wasn't long-suffering. I was not patient with her at all. I didn't exert a lot of self-control. Just said what I wanted and acted any old way I wanted and expected her to straighten up and fly right. It really worked. It really worked. It worked to just drive our marriage almost to hell and back, if you would. And so I got a vision of marriage being better and steps that I could take to improve our marriage, improve our family. Man, our family's so much better now. In fact, I'll just tell you something. I'll tell you how bad our family was because I was so angry and dealt with everything with anger. That's the way I controlled things. I'd get angry at someone if they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. And so guess who that got passed on to? And so my kids started growing up and they became adults and they all struggled with anger. And 11 years ago, I think John mentioned this last week in his message, so it's out of the box, John just tells everything. I've actually told this before. 11 years ago, we're having everybody at our house for Christmas, and we're playing bingo. They're playing bingo. I don't play bingo. They're playing bingo, and a fight erupts over who's going to get a particular item. And I mean, it turns into, I think, fisticuffs, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it's terrible. They're walking out of the houses, and Sheila gets so upset about it that she starts we find out it's an anxiety attack, but we thought she was having a heart attack. And so Sheila and I spent that Christmas in the emergency room. Doesn't that sound like fun? Now, why did I tell you that? Just so you could, think, dude, you got a messed up family. No, I told you that so you know I can relate to you and your messed up family. Because what I've discovered is by being around y'all, you got just as messed up family as we had. You just messed up in different ways. You're just dysfunctional in other ways. Some of you don't get angry and spout off. You get angry and you hold it in. You won't speak to each other, and for years won't get around each other. And we'll have an outburst. Oh, he's got a temper problem. You got just as bad a one. You just poke it in instead of letting it out. And they're both damaging. So if I'm not careful, my message is going to be longer than my other message. You got to have vision. So I got a vision for our marriage being better. Guess what? We started moving towards that vision, and miraculously our marriage started turning around. With a vision, you flourish. Now, you don't flourish overnight, but it comes to pass. We started flourishing. So you got to have a vision. Everybody say you got to have a vision. Do you have a vision for your life? Do you have a vision for your marriage? Do you have a vision for your finances? If you don't have any vision for your finances, I can tell you what you'll do. You'll spend beyond your means. And you'll buy things looking for happiness and looking for fulfillment, and you'll be real happy and really fulfilled until the first payment comes, and then you won't be happy and fulfilled anymore. I found out, I told my wife back, a year ago or so, because I've had a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of stuff. And You always look, if I had this, I'd just be happy. If I had that, man, I'd be content. There is nothing in this world that you can ever get other than a relationship with God. Nothing in this world, no thing you can get that is ever going to bring you happiness and contentment. We're always, once we have that, there's always something else we see that now we want that too, right? You're never going to find happiness and contentment in things. You got to be content. You got to learn how to be content with what you have. And most of us haven't learned that lesson, and so we spend beyond our means, and then we end up in debt and our finances in a mess. But when we have a vision for our finances being, for us getting out of debt and us having savings and us having retirement so that we, are not just dependent on Social Security or whatever in our latter days. When we have a vision for that, what it enables you to do, it enables you to say, no, I'm not going to buy that right now because I want to have this whenever. It enables you to make all these sacrifices now so that you can have this later. That's what sacrificing is all about. It's not about not having. It's about not having now so that I can have greater later. That's good. And so you say, no, I'm not going to do that. And you live by a budget. And it don't take long with finances. You think it does. You think it takes forever. No, it doesn't. There's this thing called compound interest. It's absolutely crazy, and it'll work on your behalf or it'll work against you. If you're paying compound interest on your credit card, just look at your credit card. You'll see what owing somebody. Take that same money and flip it around and let it be adding up every month, and it generates pretty fast. And so a couple of years down the road, you're out of debt. You're at the land of zero, and you're glad to be at the land of zero. Owing no man nothing is a great place to be. Now you move from there and you start building. Wow, you start building wealth and increasing. And so you just keep making sacrifices and just keep, budgeting and living by that and investing. And down the road, man, you're in a good place, and you end up leaving an inheritance for your kids instead of leaving your kids a funeral bill to pay or whatever. This is good teaching. I'm not going to get a lot of amens but it's right. You got to have vision for your walk with God. Some of you are no further down the road in your walk with God now than you were last year this time, and the reason is because you don't have a vision for your relationship with God. God, this is good, but I want to be in a better place with you. I want to know you more. I want to be closer to you. I want to do more for your kingdom. I want to be serving in a greater way. Well, see, when that's your vision, then you start coming up with these ways to make that happen. So you spend time with God, you spend time in His Word, getting involved with a life group, whatever. You get on a team, just whatever it takes. Can you see that? It's amazing how just having that vision makes all these good things happen. Without this vision, none of it happens. None of it happens. How important is vision? You got to have a vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And then here's what you need to do. It's not enough to have a vision. You need to write it down. You need to write it down. Here's my vision for my marriage. Here's my vision for my finances. Here's my vision for my walk with God, whatever. Write it down. And it's for you to write down so that you can't, I forgot what my vision was, or I got a vision and you really don't even know what it is because you haven't reviewed it for a while. But you write it down, and it's really for the sake of others. So he who reads it may run with it. You write it down so the people that you need to be a part of that vision, to help make that vision come to pass, you write it down so that they can see that vision, so they can read it, because they can't run with it if they don't know what it is. They can't run with it if it's not clear to them. Well, our home, we're just not on the same page. You don't have a vision. Well, we're just going in two different directions. You don't have a vision. Get a vision, write that vision down so you are both on the same page. So he who reads it, she who reads it can run with it. We're running together. How many know anytime you're running together, it's always better than running alone? Remember the vision. So get a vision, write that vision down. This is Proverbs 29:18, writing the vision down. Habakkuk 2, verses 2 and 3. Habakkuk, however you want to pronounce it, either or. But then think big. When you're writing your vision down, think big. Don't write down what you think, maybe if we did this, we could be here next year. Don't do that. See, that's you writing down what you think you can do. That's not a God-given vision. That's not even a God-inspired vision, because it doesn't include God and His ability to work in your life. Now, I'm not telling you to write down something ridiculous. You're in debt $10,000 now, and you're believing that by the end of the year, you're going to have $30,000 in your savings account. You know, somebody says, well, Pastor, all things are possible. Yes, but some things are highly improbable. Right? Write a vision down. Make it big enough. Think big enough that it requires God for you to be there by the end of this time next year. Write it down. Think big. Make it a God-sized vision. And then stay the course. I didn't say this in the first service, and I wanted to make sure I said this to you, because you will have to stay the course. Whenever COVID hit, it just looked like what God had given me as a vision for this house was impossible to be realized. How can you realize a vision whenever you're stuck in your house? And so after about 2 weeks, I'm discouraged, a little depressed, and I'm not in a good place at all, psychologically. I mean, I start struggling with anxiety and stuff when I don't have a vision. I'm fine when I have a vision. I'll struggle with anxiety when I don't have a vision because it looks hopeless. It looks, too much uncertainty. So in that moment, I had God speak to me and say, you need to get your vision back. Nothing I've called you to do, no purpose for the church has changed, but you're going to have to think outside of the box. You're thinking, how can it be realized doing what you've done in the past, the way you've done things in the past, and this calls for you to think outside of the box and to believe that I'll bless you and help you move forward in spite of COVID. And listen, that's our problem. Very often we're just thinking inside of the box and we don't realize, and it's hopeless because this isn't working. That's a great time to say, okay, God, help me to think out of the box here and what is it that I need to do? Isn't that right? And so we were the first, I think we were the first church in the area that started meeting back together again. And here's why. Because I knew you being at home, I don't care if you're watching church online or not, it's a secondary way of watching service. It's there if you can't be here, but it's not the best way for you to participate in what God's doing and being a part. You need to be in the house. And so we started meeting together back as soon as we could, and we kept moving things forward as fast as we could, understanding COVID and working within the confines of that a little bit, but we wanted to get you back. And so when you have to keep just pushing forward, though, because sometimes it just looks like you're retaking ground you've already taken. Anybody ever had to retake ground? Yeah. Sometimes in our marriage, we'd have setbacks. We did on the front end, we'd have setbacks often because you're learning a new way of living together. You're learning a new way of talking with each other, having different attitudes towards each other, handling conflict. And so we would keep slipping back into old ways. We'd have setbacks. We don't have setbacks very often anymore. We have them every once in a while. But not very often. And when we do have them, we're quick to just make the adjustment and get things squared around. But you got to stay the course. Financially, I promise you're going to have to stay the course because for a while, it's going to look like, well, we're not getting anywhere. And then one of the kids is going to need braces, or somebody's going to have something, and you're going to need something, and you're going to have to get it. And you think, we're never going to get out of this. You stay the course. Everybody say, stay the course. See, this doesn't work sometimes. This works all the time, but you got to stay the course. Doesn't work tomorrow or the next day, but it works. Write the vision, make it plain, so he who reads it may run with it. The vision is for an appointed time. In other words, it's not going to happen today. Though it tarries, though it doesn't seem like it's ever going to come to pass. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. Wait for it. Everybody say, wait for it. Hebrews says it this way. You have need of patience. You have need of endurance, so that after you've done the will of God, you might receive the promise. You have need of patience and endurance, so you can stay the course while you're waiting for things to come together and for the vision to be realized. Though it tarries, it will come to pass. Everybody say, it will come to pass. You believe that? Amen. So, get a vision. Write it down. Include God in it. Make it big. Bigger than you. Bigger than what's possible with you. Need His help in it. And then stay the course. Was this okay for New Year's? Yeah. And anyway. I love talking about this. Can y'all tell? I wish, you know what, as much as I talk about this, you would think everybody in our church would have a vision, have it written down. Can I tell you, at the end of next year, if I said, how many of you got a vision for your marriage, for your finances, for your walk with God, wrote it down, made it big, stayed the course? How many of you honestly did it? If there was 10%, we'd be doing good. And yet, I think personally, it is the single most important thing any believer can have in their life. You got to have a vision. You got to see. This is what vision is. I didn't even say this. You got to see what God is capable of doing right out here. I can't quite touch it now, but if I get a vision and I keep reaching for it, it won't be long until I'm holding it in my hand. Right?